Almost 2 years ago now, I stood in this exact same spot reviewing a car that I had hired whilst I was out here in Switzerland. It was a Skoda Fabia, I believe, that I was driving at the time, and I really enjoyed driving it. It was a great experience and I loved driving the car. Here I am almost 2 years later again with a very different car to review for you in the exact same spot. So yeah, I thought today we would talk about one of my favorite classes of car, being hatchbacks, and one of the most premium offerings in that class, the Mercedes A-Class, and the most recent generation, at that, the 4th generation of A-Class. Now, recently I had the opportunity to drive basically the main competitor to this car in the premium hatch class, which is the Audi A3 Black Edition. It had the 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine, which was a lot more performant than this one. This is the Mercedes A180. This has a 1.3-litre inline-4 turbocharged as well, but only gets to 60 in about 9.2 seconds. It's nowhere near as fast, but it has a nice AMG package on it. We'll go through all of this in a bit, but it has a nice AMG package on it, so it looks nice and premium. And given I've been driving this car for a little while now, I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on whether or not this was a good daily, first of all, particularly in the premium hatch space. Is it worth the money as a used car, as a new car, do you think? I don't know, we'll go through it in this video. And also, is this car better than the Audi A3? Now, as I've been out here in Switzerland, I also managed to get engaged to my girlfriend, so thank you very much to all of you for saying such nice things in the post I put on my Instagram, on YouTube as well. It means, like, yeah, an insane amount, you guys taking an interest in my life and other stuff that's kind of going on around. So mate, can I just say, this place is unreal. I love Switzerland. Over there, in fact, if I get behind this, that is the Jungfrau over there, one of the tallest places you can get to in Europe by train, which is quite cool. So anyway, I've been waffling on for ages now. Let's talk about the car, tell you how I feel about it, take it for a drive, all that good stuff, and we'll answer the questions I've just posed. So remember to hit the like button if you this kind of content, subscribe as well if you're new here. But without further ado, let's go review this car. But before we actually start talking about the car, I need to tell you about the background behind the Mercedes A-Class. Now, back in like the late 1990s, Mercedes decided they wanted to enter into the small car class with the A-Class. It was going to be a competitor to cars like the VW Golf, the VW Polo, and things that were already kind of dominating this subcompact area of cars. That really upset VW, and VW ended up building the Phaeton, the nice big luxury car in, well, basically in protest, saying that no, this is our class, we dominate this space, you guys stick to your luxury car space, otherwise we'll make better luxury cars. That didn't happen. In fact, the original A-classes, like the 1st gen and the 2nd gen, I think are some of the least nice looking subcompacts that have ever been on the market. They're just not very nice. In my opinion, they're not very good looking. They're not very enticing. They don't really have a good space in the market. The driving position's weird. Along came the 3rd generation, and suddenly the A-Class was a completely different offering. This stunning looking car right here is the 4th gen, obviously, but it came with this kind of shape and kind of made it a little bit more like the rest of its competitors in terms of shape and size, and then also just made it more Mercedes, more what you'd expect from a premium luxury brand. And that 3rd generation did numbers. It just did so well, and it brought, again, cars like the A45 AMG, the A35 AMG, that kind of stuff has all come along as we've moved now onto the 4th generation, which is kind of an upgrade of that 3rd gen, giving it a similar shape and style, similar offerings, but of course updating the look and feel of it to be more like what you'd expect from the most recent generation of Mercedes, particularly the front grille is one of those telling signs. And so I think the A-Class has been one of those kinds of cars that has taken a little while to kind of reach its maturity. It started off not particularly nice in the subcompact space, and now it's pretty lush. But let's get onto that then. So this car here, as I said, the Mercedes A180, the petrol version, not the diesel version, it is a very nice looking car externally. If I show you kind of around the front here, it's got that proper sort of, as I said, Mercedes grille, but because it's got the AMG stuff, it's a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more styled around the front. You can see these fins here that lead to nowhere on those vents there, which is never helpful. But at least aesthetically, it's kind of the right place, or like kind of where you want to be. If I go around this side of the car here, you've got these lovely alloys as well. I love this kind of gap here with the nice AMG logo in there. I think that's really cool. And then got pretty good brakes. We'll talk about those when we go to drive the car. But yeah, the alloys are quite nice. Not bad at all. I do actually quite like the chrome trim. I think it's a bit over the top when people black out all this kind of stuff. Obviously in the A3 Black Edition, it's all about blacking out this kind of stuff. So lots of this stuff looks more black rather than chrome, but I think it looks quite nice. And I think on old Mercedes as well, you saw a lot of chrome, and you see the same on this one as well. I think it works, it does the job for me. And then coming around the back of the car, it does look, if I get back here, quite wide, and I like that look. I love that this is like a wide looking car. It's got nice big wheel arches, which I think is lush. And then if I come down to the back here, it's got this nice splitter looking thing going on here too, which I think is really cool. The thing that I don't really like about the back of this car though, unfortunately, is the fake exhaust pipes, but that's kind of part and parcel with a lot of cars right now. Mercedes are particularly bad for this, but it's just part and parcel, as I said, with cars. And again, these non-existent vents where you could have some brake cooling going on, not actually really a thing. It's all about image and kind of what it looks like, and I get that. Let's not forget also the privacy glass at the back here, so privacy glass there and there, which is pretty cool if you were, I don't know, running an Uber service or something, or didn't want the people in the back of your car to be recognized. It also keeps it quite cool in there, which is quite nice. And being a Mercedes is all about these kind of finer details as well, which is nice. So here you can see in the actual headlights, it's got the nice Mercedes-Benz logo here, and then also the writing there. If you jump in here, you can see LED high performance. All this kind of stuff in here is just nice. It just gives you that extra little feel of premium, I don't know, the premium nature of a Mercedes. And I love the badge in the front, looks quite cool as well. Yeah, I mean, all in, it is a very, very nice looking car. From basically any angle that I look at it. Please ignore the paw prints on the bonnet, by the way. I am pretty certain a fox or a cat jumps in the car overnight. So I've probably already spent far too long on styling, because that's just kind of how I work. I love the way that cars look. If I jump in the back there and look at some practicality, going into the boot here, it is a massive space. Like in here, I managed to fit an entire large suitcase, like a large one for a plane. You could definitely fit two in here, like two large suitcases. The one thing that cars like the Audi, and particularly stuff like Skoda, if you remember the Skoda one that I did here, all of this is kind of like wasted space on the sides. So like Skoda would have a thing here to put bottles in, like a hanger here to hang stuff off of. This, I can see there's this thing here, but it's not quite as useful as the Skoda stuff. So there is space for it to be better, but in terms of actual space, like it's really big. And if I come around here, it doesn't look that big from the side, or at least not in my opinion. It looks kind of like cuts off there, but actually when you come round to it, there is plenty of room in there to fit everything that you'd need. It would work very well as a daily. But then one of my favorite things about this car is actually the interior, and not necessarily the materials in here, because before I even talk about how nice the interior is, there's a lot of plastic, like plastic everywhere. This bit in particular really annoys me, how plasticky that stuff is. And there are some materials in here that maybe shouldn't be in a premium offering. Like this stuff is really weird. I don't even know what this is, but it's like you can kind of press it and move it around and whatever. I'm sure it's to save weight and to save money, but if you're getting the like premium class leading offering from that perspective, you'd want it to be maybe some metal, or I don't know, some wood or something a bit nicer. We've got this Alcantara feel here on the sides. I don't think it's real Alcantara, this is like an Alcantara effect, but that is actually quite nice. And you get the same thing here on the seats. You get this mixed leather and Alcantara vibe going on here, and the seats are really nice. Like, I don't know how well you can see them because of the sun, but I'll make sure I get some good footage of them regardless. These seats are lovely, like sporty. They got good bolsters to keep you held in nice and tight. Everything here really, really good. I really, really like these seats. If I come on the back, actually, you can see them even better from here. So you get this like clearly very sporty inspired set of seats in there. And the rear seats get the same kind of design too. So it is actually a very nice car to be in from that perspective. And though yes, it is no Skoda, there is still plenty of room here to put stuff, which I think is always helpful as a daily. Jumping around the front, plenty of space in there, over the side as well. And one of my favorite things about this car is that I always carry a lot of shrapnel around with me, like loads of random pieces. Press this button here, and this hole is deep. Like, let me see if I can get my hand in here. Like, it goes and goes and goes. So I always throw all my stuff in there or in the front there. There is plenty of room in here for keeping things. Now if we jump into the car very quickly and switch it on, so obviously keyless on all of this kind of stuff. Get the aircon on because I'm suffering, and it is, by the way, zoned aircon, which is very helpful too. So like, it was 16 degrees over here, now it's gonna be 16 degrees here. In the back as well, you can zone it separately. You've got these ones down here to do that. So yeah, all in a very nice space here. And I love the digital display. I think the digital display is very cool. It's not 100% necessary, but if you're buying a premium daily, you want something like this. And I think it looks very good. Like, it does the job. I find this could be better, like the navigation system could be better, but it does do the job. And here on the steering wheel as well, you can see it's a very nice design. Got that nice flat bottomed wheel to give it that kind of sporty look and feel. And then these nice little edges here that you can kind of grab the old thumbs into, which is helpful. I find that there's maybe a little bit too much in terms of optionality on the wheel. Maybe I'm just slow or dumb or whatever, but it feels like there's just so many things that I could press. I think if I had driven the car for longer, maybe I'd have gotten more used to it. But like, you press this button here and it changes that, and then I can like change different stuff. So you can see I've got my phone and stuff attached to it. You can like move stuff around in terms of the volume. You can click on different things, etc., using the steering wheel. It is very helpful, but I would also say that I don't know, it just feels like there's a lot on the steering wheel for me to have to deal with. You've got obviously the stalk here to change gears. It's an automatic, of course, being a Mercedes. I do find like automatic less fun, but it's kind of part and parcel with Mercedes, and I get it. One thing that I would say, when I was driving the A3 Black Edition, it was also an automatic, I found it a lot more fun to drive when I put it into manual mode than in this car. So when I use these paddles in the back of the steering wheel that you can see here, that was a lot more fun and a lot more useful in the Audi. In the Mercedes, I found that a little bit less of a useful factor, I suppose. I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe it's just a preference thing, but I find that it's a little bit more clunky with this. The car feels lovely when you're inside it. My girlfriend, who would be here, but unfortunately feeling a bit sick, so she's back at the back where we're staying. Yeah, she loves it too. She likes sitting in it. It feels very premium. We went to a 5-star hotel for a couple of nights, and when we were there, we had the car valeted and stuff, and it felt right. Like, I parked in front of the hotel, and it felt like it was in the right location. It would have felt maybe wrong to be there in a Skoda, if that makes any sense. It would have been absolutely fine, obviously. Just a feeling thing. But if you want to feel like that premium vibe externally, internally, this definitely gives you that. And by the way, if you know me and you know the channel, you know that I'm not really that fussed about that kind of stuff. I would happily be in a Skoda right now. For me, it doesn't matter whether it's got a Mercedes badge on it, a Skoda badge on it, a VW badge on it. As long as I like the car and I like driving the car, I'm happy. But I'm trying to do a fair review, and it does have all the right stuff in here. It does have all of this good stuff. I think I've really spent far too long talking about all the good stuff that it has, and instead I think I should put my GoPro on my head, look like an idiot, and drive it around for a bit and tell you guys actually how I feel about the car when I drive it, live with it, use it, all that other kind of good stuff. But instead of finding me inside the Mercedes, you find me here back in my office the day that I am editing this video, in a slightly annoyed mood because the footage for the driving section of this video has been lost. But it's fine. Despite being slightly annoyed, I will give you guys an explanation of what it's like to drive that car and whether I think it's any good. So I thought the handling of the car was really solid. It felt nice to drive. It wasn't too aggressive. It was also not too soft. It was kind of like a nice happy medium. It feels like the car is geared up more towards understeer, which makes sense as it's front wheel drive, but I couldn't always find where the limit of the car was in terms of the understeer. And I know that's what you're supposed to be doing in a car, but anyone wants to find out where the edge of the traction is in that car. I couldn't really find it, so maybe that's testament to having quite a lot of grip. I would say overall it's quite an unengaging car to drive. It's not particularly interesting. It doesn't require much of you. I can literally drive. In fact, I spent most of my time driving that car like chilling. It was hard to maintain my attention whilst driving the car. Yeah, I wouldn't buy it as a car to drive for the pleasure of driving, if that makes any sense. Compared with the Audi A3 that I also drove, how do I say this without saying it unkindly? The Audi A3 Black Edition felt to me a bit like a more premium Golf, and handled a bit like a more premium Golf. Like, it's very predictable. You can work out where all of the endpoints are of the traction. You can understand when it's going to understeer, etc. Whereas the Mercedes does feel a little bit more like a more premium car when you drive it, just because of how chilled out it is to drive. But to be honest, one of the conclusions I came to whilst driving the car, which I wish I could show you the footage, was that I feel like you only buy the car because it's premium as opposed to any other reason. There is not much more that it does over a different car from my perspective that is so crucial to my driving experience. Second hand, these go for around about £15,000 at the bottom end, and that is a lot of money to spend on a car that is probably going to keep depreciating down, let's be honest, to the sub 10, sub 8, sub 7 range probably in the future. Particularly when you think you can get an A45 AMG from the 3rd generation for around about that same kind of money, under £20,000, and you'll get one. Of course, I know running costs will be different and they've got different purposes, but you know what I mean. There are a lot of lovely cars you could buy for £15,000. I'm not sure I would understand the purpose of spending £15,000, £16,000, £17,000 on a newish A-Class. What the car was great for was turning up, as I said, to a 5-star hotel, parking outside, and not feeling like the car was out of place. But how often are you going to be doing that? If you're going to do it a lot, then maybe it's the right car for you. If you're not, then what I'm saying is the car is really nice. Like, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed driving it. It was super comfortable to drive. Everything about it was positive. Like, I really did enjoy the experience of having it and driving it around and whatever. Would I have another one in the future if I was hiring a car? Probably not. Would I personally buy one? Probably not. I think I personally would have more fun buying like a Golf GTI or something around about the same price range as my daily instead of buying that, and it would still feel premium because it's an uprated Golf as opposed to being premium because of brand status and if that makes any sense. But in hearing my assessment of the car, please don't think that I'm being negative about it. It is a very positive and nice and like comfortable and good car. I just don't know why I would spend the money to get one specifically, but they are looking at someone right here who loves very basic cars. And I wouldn't say the A-Class is a basic car by any means. Would I say it's a better premium hatch to buy than the Audi A3? I think so. The A3 Black Edition felt more like, as I said, a Golf or a Polo that I've driven before, so it felt more like home, but the Mercedes was in my opinion, a more premium overall package. So I hope that makes sense to you, and I hope that despite not being able to see me drive the car, which I'm very annoyed about, so apologies again for that, you have been able to come to some kind of decision on whether or not you like the Mercedes A-Class. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit the like button to see more car reviews like this. I'm hoping to do plenty more this year, and I will make sure that the driving footage is not lost this time. Massive thanks for the patience, their support, and to you guys as well for watching. I will see you in the next one.